Hello folks, welcome to Holy Land Tours. I decided to record this impromptu, did not even have my camera equipment, none of that, and it's not even daylight, but I decided to record it while I have the Spirit of God speaking through me. That's right, I felt the inspiration to record it, ill-prepared, but I'm recording in 1080p 30 frames per second on my phone, folks, so it's the best I could do. I was just moved by the Spirit and decided to record it. So what is the Holy Land Tours all about? Let me tell you just a little bit about it. So you might be thinking we're going to show you around. Let me just start walking you, showing you the beautiful fall weather and all the leaves turning colors and stuff like that. You could see these beautiful colors here. But anyway, folks, so what is it? Is it a tour of Israel? Well, of course we could show you Israel, but that's the typical thing. Instead, folks, Holy Land Tours will show you the original Holy Land, which is the land where Noah's Ark landed and when Noah with his family descended Mount Ararat and pitched his tent in a village of Ararat, in the Ararat Valley, of course, just straight off the boat, straight off the mountain, which is today 5,137 meters tall. There was a massive earthquake and a volcanic eruption that happened many times, but the last one recorded was in 1840 Anno Domini. It was 4 o'clock, 1600 hours, July the 2nd, and it was a 9.5 on a Richter scale. And so it basically completely shattered the area. And so my point is the mountain, Mount Ararat, shrunk from 6,000 feet, 6,000 meters to 5,137. It was much more symmetrical, much more beautiful. There wasn't any gorges inside. There now is a huge, enormous Ahura Gorge, named after the village of Ahura. It was built by the monks there, but it's completely, basically uprooted and destroyed during an 1840 Anno Domini earthquake and volcanic eruption. So do you know which country I'm talking about, folks? Where is the original Holy Land? Many thousands of years prior to Israel, there was this Holy Land where Noah landed and pitched his tent. I gave you a few clues, folks. Mount Ararat, the village of Ararat, approximate location. Nobody knows for sure. We didn't have video cameras back then. But folks, this is the legendary country of Armenia. That's right. The original Holy Land is Armenia, folks. That is the country that we're going to be touring, and it's a little bit unusual. I mean, it's quite unusual of a tour, because it's not going to be, we're not going to be showing you the typical, capital city with its infrastructure, over 1 million population, which, by the way, is the capital city is Yerevan. We're going to be showing you the Christian sites. So these tours will be of Armenia, the original Holy Land. We're going to be focusing on Mount Ararat, and we're going to be focusing on Noah and his holy family and why God picked them. We're going to be focusing on all the ancient Christian sites in Armenia. For example, I was born in Armenia and baptized at a church that is 1,700 years old. That's right, it's a 1,700-year-old church in a town called Echmiadzin, or the cathedral is called Echmiadzin in Armenian, which means in English, the descent of the only begotten Son. Just like in Greek, it's monogenes, if you speak a little bit of Greek. We'll teach you, by the way, a few words in Armenian and Greek and Latin and Akkadian and Sumerian and a few other languages, so you'll be pleasantly fluent, or not fluent, but you'll know a few words. But anyway, so I was born in Armenia, in the capital city of Yerevan, and I was baptized at this church that is 1,700 years old. And we're going to visit the church. We're going to visit many other churches and cathedrals and monasteries across Armenia. And this is essentially a tour, it could be a group tour, it could be a private tour, for the most devout Christians on planet Earth. So my brothers and sisters, I'm actually addressing you. If you're a Christian, I'm addressing 2.6 billion Christians on planet Earth. That's right, there are 2.6 billion Christians and 2.1 billion Muslims at this point on planet Earth. So I'm addressing all of the Christians who want to come to the original Holy Land to see Noah's Ark, or the mountain where it's at, and to see this incredible cathedral where I was baptized, that actually marks the spot where the world's first nation that adopted Christianity was. That's right, Armenia is the world's first nation that adopted Christianity. And so try to realize this, folks, that Armenia is a hidden gem. And it was hidden because we live in the end times, and this is why it's becoming possible for me to record this and to give you the first-hand account of what it's like to be in Armenia, to live in this magical land, and to be walking in the footsteps of Noah himself. And you might say, well, what's so special about Saint Noah, or Papa Noah, as we call him? Well, because you see, we're all direct descendants of Noah. We, as Armenians, who live in the country of Armenia, and so it's the rest of the population on the face of the earth. Remember, he repopulated planet Earth per God's decision when God decided to destroy the earth because it was evil and defective DNA, kind of like what we're experiencing today, lots of evil in the world. And that's why Christ even compared this time to everything will be just like in the days of Noah. People will be, getting married and being given into marriage and so on and so forth. So the point, folks, is the reason why God picked Noah is because of his kindness. It's not because he was a righteous man, but the first entry, the threshold, the doorstep into God's realm is kindness. Kindness is a sister of love. Love is something most people cannot understand very well, especially agape love. Agape love is a distinct type of love. Agape is a biblical term of Greek origin. Agape, if I were to translate it from Greek into English, would be the perfect, unconditional, divine love of God that surpasses all human understanding. No human being could truly understand this glue that holds everything together in our universe. That is agape love. That emanates from God. That is part of God's frequency. And in order to understand God, we need to get on his frequency. And we have a special methodology or routine that will help you with. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you don't turn on your news, or you don't use your gadgets or phones or computers. You go to your prayer closet, your prayer rug, or your prayer room, or your prayer spot, and even in the kitchen, as long as you're not distracted by the news or all the gadgets, electronics, And what we highly recommend is you have a glass of water that's been marinating in the refrigerator. You pull it out because it's not good to be drinking cold water, but it has to be refrigerated to minimize the bacteria and stuff like that. And maybe 3 slices of lemon. Look at this beautiful, beautiful God's creation. The fall is here. And so you drink that water, you say your prayers, you meditate over your glass of water, because that's highly recommended. You'll be perpetuating your positive thoughts, and your connection with God will remain in the water that you'll be drinking. And because we're 80% water, you'll be drinking the presence of God. It's a mystical, mythical, spiritual tradition, and I highly recommend you do that. This is how you start your every single day. And after you drink the water, you don't lay down, you stay vertical. You have to be vertical for up to half an hour, let the water be absorbed. There's a certain valve that opens and closes in your digestive tract, and you have to remain vertical. You'll live to be 150 if you only eat organic food and salads and nuts and no synthetic or processed food. And then after you say your meditation, you go for a walk. If you have a dog, you take your dog for a walk, stuff like that, and you say hello to the rest of your family if you have if you have your spouse, your children, grandchildren, stuff like that. So this is the routine that will make sure that you will be on the frequency of God. You will transition, and we'll show you, we'll teach you how you basically put your left hand on the tree, and then you essentially meditate to the frequency of the tree, because it's alive. It cannot send you email, but it is alive. It's a life form. And then from the tree you essentially transition to meditate on the frequency of God. And why I use such a scientific language? Because if Jesus was around today, he would use the same language. It's more scientific. Hell is a real place that is located at the center of what we call Milky Way galaxy. Every spiral galaxy has hell at its center. It's a massive black hole that serves as a wormhole that connects different galaxies with each other, and it actually connects other universes. So for people who are not on the frequency of God, unfortunately they'll be dispatched and sent to the black hole, which is located at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And so back to our tours, folks. So this is it's really unique. It's not really about seeing the infrastructure in Armenia at the original Holy Land. It's about the communion. And then our goal is we're building a spiritual center in Armenia based on the Findhorn Foundation, Findhorn Eco Village in Scotland. If you know the story of Findhorn, it's a wonderful, marvelous place. It was started by a couple, Eileen and Peter, who drove in their little camper that they call in England caravan. So they drove in a little camper or caravan in 1962 Anno Domini, and they decided to go as far as the road would take them and to start a community there. So when the road ended at Findhorn Bay, it's the farthest tip of Scotland, folks. You can't drive any further. They stopped and they pitched their tents just like Noah pitched his tent at the village of Arax, right by the Araxes River, using the Persian, Akkadian, Sumerian pronunciation. It's Arax, but the derivation is much more ancient. So the Armenian language, the alphabet it's a misnomer, folks, that it's only 1600 years old. Well, it is. The modern alphabet, the Armenian alphabet, was created by a famous Armenian philosopher, linguist, and scientist, polymath, in fact. His name is Misrop Bashtots. So Misrop Bashtots created the modern Armenian alphabet in 405 Anno Domini. So this alphabet is based primarily, very highly symmetrical. You'll see the letters on your screen. Whatever I'm talking, I'm gonna pull up on your screen so you can see it. Highly symmetrical is based on, you recognize many letters from the Greek alphabet, like the Armenian letter T is the English letter S, like Sam. My name's Sam, so the English letter S is the Armenian letter T. And many other letters. So anyway, it resembles the Greek alphabet, not quite. And it's highly symmetrical in terms of its structure, etc. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to get into that right now. But the Armenians used another alphabet, another writing system, if you will, for over 8,000 years, folks, prior to this alphabet. So it's a misnomer that Armenians only got their alphabet like 1,600 years ago. That's not true. It's not scientific, folks. It's just shows how little people know, really. So the Armenians used a cuneiform alphabet writing system. Cuneiform is used by the Babylonians, or actually Akkadians. It's the Akkadian version of the Babylonian dialect. Babylonian is the dialect of Akkadian. Akkadian is the oldest known human writing system on earth. So, but the Armenians used there's a version of the Assyrian, that's right, the Assyrian and Aramaic version of this writing. It looks almost identical, but unless you're a linguist with 40 years of experience, you won't be able to tell them apart. But anyway, at the fortress of Erebuni in the capital city of Armenia, in Yerevan, you will see such a cuneiform writing system that kind of sort of resembles it. There's an even more ancient version of that I'm speaking of, that the one that is at Erebuni, it's 3,000 years old. That's the transitional version. So there's even an older, much older version. So in other words, Armenians have used a writing system for at least 8,000 years. And the proof of that, you will see Arini cave, where they found an amphora and a shoe, a leather shoe that was preserved very well. That shows that the documented history, the amphora is a Greek word for the clay jar where they store wine, is over 6,000 years old. And now, as far as now, how did they come up with the writing system of 7,000 years old? Well, folks, I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you could see it. So they found an ancient Armenian observatory that is over 7,500 years old. An observatory, folks, that is 3,000 years older than the Stonehenge in England. It's called Karahunch in Armenian. So Karahunch in Armenian is the Stonehenge version of England, but it's much older, and if they had an observatory, most certainly they had a writing system, most certainly they knew how to write down their thoughts. And so that's where the Akkadian language, or the Akkadian version of the alphabet, comes into play. My point of this story is you'll be learning all this on our tours, not just about where Christ walked, and by the way, he walked through Armenia to India and Tibet. That's a documented fact in the certain traditions. And the Silk Way went through Armenia. At that time, the territory of Armenian kingdom was much larger than the current Republic of Armenia. So you can't just look at a map and see that, how could you get to India through Armenia? That doesn't make any sense. It was much larger kingdom. It was called the Kingdom of Urartu and Hyasa, and the Kingdom of Van, and there's Kilikia, and there's many sort of kingdoms that represented Armenia prior to the name Armenia. Armenia used to be pronounced or said Armina. Armina is the ancient name for Armenia, and that's why many Armenian women are named at birth Armenia. It's a very common Armenian name, kind of like Linda in the English-speaking world. So anyway, you'll be learning all these things. So Armenia is a hidden gem, folks, and that's why I was prompted by the Spirit of God to pull out my phone. I have so much equipment that you have no idea. Like, I was gonna create this sort of a super duper session, and super duper, I have like 20 different microphones and Rode microphone, this and that, and outdoors. It's this beautiful, sunny day. And no. When the Spirit of God calls you, folks, the Spirit of God demands that you kind of acquiesce and move along. And so I decided to pull out my phone and record it on on my phone, 1080p, 30 frames per second, and just be talking just like this. This is what I was asked to do. Just record the audio, and then you'll see the mess. This is an invitation to 2.6 billion Christians around the world to come to Armenia. So we'll personally show you around. You'll personally get to know the ancient practice of, again, this sort of a meditative practice that was taught, that Jesus was taught, and then Jesus taught his disciples. And this is the Essenes. The Essenes were the last group of religious people who practiced this closeness to God. So to summarize, folks, the hidden gem of Armenia, what is it all about? It's not about just Noah being the person who repopulated the earth. He was so kind. He was protected by the angels of God, and they helped him build the ark because, almost lost my phone here, folks. Almost lost my phone. Yeah, so you can't just build that ark of that size. It's no human being could build it, folks. So while he was sleeping, the angels of God would complete the construction of the ark for him. By the way, this is just, again, from the known tradition. He could not have finished that ark on his own. That's just not humanly, not even possible. It's just not physically possible. So the angels of God miraculously helped him build the ark, and they were protecting him in every step of the way. And so they do the same for you and your family. If your spiritual eyes were open, if you had the spirit of discernment, you would see the physical reality. Right now we have demons and angels battling over your souls and over your loved ones, and And all that is asked of us by God is to show our kindness. To show our kindness to, first of all, our family, our neighbors, and just our community. And I'm not even talking about agape love, this highest form of divine love, folks. It's just kindness. If you see somebody needs something, just come up to them and say, hey, how's it going? Is everything okay? If you see a little puppy on the street or a little kitten, folks, if you see an animal on the street, my point is, just stop, pause for just a brief moment, folks. It's not going to delay your day. Just show them your kindness. They just, when you see a little dog wags his tail when it sees you, it doesn't necessarily need your food or your water or anything from you. It just needs a little pat on the back or something like that. Just that is the eternal moment when you become one with God through an animal, folks. I guarantee you that once you get to the other side, you'll get this confirmation. These are the moments that God presents you with for you to show your kindness. These are the moments when we shine as God's children, as God's supposedly, kind creations, His sparks, His revelations in this physical world that is usually full of evil, and so we are the ones who are supposed to cancel that evil. And we are supposed to be kind to every animal, every human being, every, of course, church member, everything, everyone, every even blade of grass. And by the way, folks, I have my watch. I highly recommend you do the same, folks. You basically, if you have a watch, you go on walks, it will keep track of your steps, and it's usually set by default to 6,000 steps, but I usually go for 35,000 steps, 7 or 8 miles every day. It's very, very good for you. It's fresh air and it keeps you good condition. So the idea, folks, is to constantly show kindness. Constantly try to be kind, no matter what. This is our nature. This is what distinguishes us, separates us from the world. We are in this world, folks, but we're not of this world. And the Spirit of God is within us. And if we have the Spirit of God, I'm sharing with you what I know in all humility. So everything I know, I share with you. And you will, by the Spirit of God, you will accept it if you're a Christian or if you're just a spiritual person. Even if you're a Muslim, you will hear that we all are trying to find the closest path to God. Even if you are into the Vedic tradition, if you only read Bhagavad Gita and you sing the Hare Krishna mantras every day, you are on the same path. We're all brothers and sisters, folks. This is the whole point of this message. We're far, far beyond the traditional sort of a building or a church that's usually comprised of a building in the minds of many people. No, folks. Church, the English word for church, comes from a Greek word ekklesia. And ekklesia, it has two meanings. The original is a political position, like a senator. It's got a political meaning for being an elite group of people that have been it means called out from the masses. I don't want to use that ugly word for the masses, but yeah, from the masses. You're an elite group. You're an elite circle. But in the church, religious context, it simply means an assembly, a gathering of like-minded spiritual people. That's all that means, folks. So church, or ekklesia in Greek, that simply means a special group of people and an assembly or gathering of special group of people. That's all that means, folks. It doesn't mean a building. And so the church today, we're just going to focus on the positive, folks. Our goal is to help each other in any way, shape, or form. Usually with just a smile, we're just saying, how are you? Do you need anything? And that's it. That's just where the story ends. There's nothing else beyond that. And of course, prayer, supplication, fasting, all that. Yes. But the point is, it's not a building. It's not your tithing. It's not your typical sort of a orientation, like you say, oh, I went to church on every holiday this year. No. What good does it do, folks, if you don't stop for that little tiny puppy over there? You see a puppy over there, and the puppy comes to you and it wants to be petted, and you don't stop, and your angels who are by your side. They never sleep. They're called those who never sleep, folks. They record all this information that you're evil. You're constantly evil. You just stop by the church to get brownie points. Forgive my English here, my French, by English. You try to get brownie points to get into heaven. You can't do that, folks. You being at church just for the sake of getting those points ain't gonna help you get to heaven, folks. That's not what God is sort of our creator of the universe is asking us to do. The reason why he picked holy Noah is because of his kindness. That is all. Noah was telepathic, fully telepathic. He could heal anybody by just looking at a person. He could wish somebody well. He was that strong in his spirit. He could wish somebody, if somebody was ill, he could sense it. He was hypersensitive about everything. This is our Papa Noah. This is why you coming to Armenia, is to learn these things. If somebody was not well in his family, he could heal them instantly. He was hypersensitive. He could actually transition and teleport his physical body through space and time. There was no language it's before the Tower of Babel incident. There were no language limitations. There was no there were no limits what he could do. And he was, most importantly, folks, he was a child of God. He was what that means, child of God, means super kind. Folks, and if you're super kind, you walk in the Spirit of God. And if you walk in the Spirit of God, you don't have to even worry about those other so-called, quote-unquote, commandments. That has nothing to do with commandments. Because if you walk with God, you're with God. There is no question about, don't do this, don't do that. It's not even for you. You don't even have to concern yourself with those other things. The remaining commandments. The most important sort of if you will, commandment from the heart of God that Jesus left us with is to be on the frequency of God. He said it slightly differently, but today I believe he would use this kind of slightly more scientific language. To be on the frequency of God is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. That's where basically the whole story ends. If you can do that, you will say hello to that little puppy every time you see a little puppy come up to you on the street, or a little kitten, or whatever. See, for me here in this park, there are foxes and coyotes. And normally they don't come up to me, but they come up to me. Do you know why? I will tell you why. Because of my closeness to God. And more specifically, because once you are if you are on the path of being closer to God, you cannot hate animals, because animals, see folks, every animal out there, let me just share with you this little revelation. Every animal out there that comes up to you on the street, it wants to be petted, it wants to be part of your family, it wants for you to sort of like adopt them, if you will. They don't want any food from you, folks. They just want for you, first of all, they want to make sure you're not going to kill them for fur, like all of these, what do you call them, animal breeding, animal breeders, who breed those animals. So anyway, let me just tell you a story about this special fox that I just ran across a couple of years ago. His name is Alfie the fox. He was adopted by Alex and Victoria, so husband and wife. Alex brought him home when he was just a little, I guess, pup or cub. Yeah, he probably was a cub, right? If it's a fox. And so as a little fox cub, he was brought home by Alex, and they raised him, and he became now a beautiful red fox, and he started to talk. He developed human language, folks, to show his appreciation in a human language. Like Victoria, he comes up, they have a 3-story house, he comes down from the 3rd floor, and when he gets hungry, he just walks down the stairs, and he comes down to the kitchen where Victoria's cooking his favorite dish, like little he likes boiled chicken and turkey. That's his favorite thing. And also he likes cucumbers. Really, he likes cucumbers a lot. So anyway, he developed a speech pattern of a baby. That's right. His speech pattern is of a little tiny human toddler. I mean, not exactly, folks, but you know how the little parrots, how they imitate the human speech. And so Alfie the fox, you can see him on YouTube. I mean, he has 43 or 93 or something like 203 million views on his YouTube channel. Just type in Alfie the fox, you'll see it. I forget, is it 43 million views or 93 million views or something like that, some astronomical. He is very popular. Why? Because people need kindness, and he projects kindness. I mean, she projects kindness. Victoria projects kindness because she films them every single morning, and many children around the world, millions of people who watch him all the time. Children grow up on watching kindness being done to animals, and Alf the Fox responds to that. My point is, folks, let me just share with you why I even bring this up, because unfortunately today people are so calloused. The hearts are so callous, they cannot even feel this. They're so calloused. And if you want to test your level of kindness, like are you kind or not, you watch Alf the Fox. And if it begins to irritate you, that means you have some issues with kindness. You're not there, not even close. But if you automatically like him, love him, and everything's fine with you, I mean, you pass the test, so to speak, the litmus test of having that minimal amount of kindness. But folks, it's so sad. Many people who watch it, not those who leave positive comments, but I'm just saying there's still so many people that don't have that kind of kindness. They say ugly things about Alfie and the fact that it's this and that. They don't understand that this is kindness, and it's much better than be showing violence and sex and transgender agenda that they teach kids in school, in Western schools, like in America, North America, and Western Europe. Yeah, I mean, it's better to watch Alfie the Fox and that kind of kindness, that kind of content, than to watch how they teach how to give sex education and 72 gender agenda in American public school system. It's just ridiculous. And this is why the story, you see, I'm going to tell you, my wife, a few years ago, my wife befriended a Muslim woman. That's right. They were our neighbors, and so she, how women begin to talk, and so she wanted to invite them to our place, and we did, and they invited. We went to their place, and they came to our place, and we learned from each other. They were Muslim, we were Christian, and it's amazing what a beautiful experience there was. It actually reinforced the fact that Muslims actually have incredible faith and discipline. So let me tell you a story about this family that we've met, that I just told you about. So it's a wonderful family that came out of a war-torn country, folks. They were refugees, basically, a husband, wife, and a boy and a girl. So they basically escaped a terrible war in the country of Yugoslavia. They came temporarily, and he was obviously practicing Muslim. He had tremendous faith. He came and he worked as basically a factory worker, and she was staying at home, taking care of the children. But he had faith. He told me, folks, this is unbelievable. Supposedly we as Christians supposed to have faith and exercise our faith, but let me tell you, he had a vision and a tremendous faith that he would be blessed by God. He would get into the telecommunications business. He even invited me along, but I politely refused. I didn't believe in his vision at the time, but sure enough, he had such strong faith that he was blessed by God. Within a few months, he quit his job. He was full-time in the telecom business, and I believe he got into millions of dollars because within the 6-month period, they invited us to their new house that they bought with cash, by the way, because they have Sharia law that they don't believe in borrowing with interest. They use riba-free loans, folks. This is something that most people in the West don't know. how they get you, how you get scammed, taken to the cleaners by the bankers, the Western bankers. That's a whole new episode. But yeah, interest-free loans, folks. So they bought a new house. He bought brand new SUVs. And guess what happened next, folks? God continued to bless him, and they decided to move back to their home country, Yugoslavia, or actually it was Bosnia and Herzegovina. So he built a castle there, and he continued to be blessed by God. So this is an example of a real family, real person that happened to practice Islam. So I've we ought to be curious enough, folks, to learn from other people. What I learned from him was incredible discipline. I'm talking about spiritual discipline, not just in a day-to-day lifestyle, but spiritual discipline to protect his children, to protect his wife, to protect his household from all filth, spiritual filth again. And this is something that the Christians are lacking. They're slackers. Most Christians are slackers, folks. It's terrible. They get bamboozled by demons and then they believe in them. So Muslims have much stronger faith and much more rigorous discipline in the day-to-day activities, day-to-day life than most Christians. Most Christians, I said. Especially in the West. Christians in the West are like, oh my God, don't even get me started, folks. So anyway, so that's my story, folks. Muslims have, at least this family had tremendous faith. It was a wonderful, wonderful family, wonderful couple. They were after the same things, getting closer to God, seeking peace, tranquility, balance, harmony, all those things, folks. So why am I telling you this story, folks? Because I'm an ambassador for Armenia. So I invite both Christians and Muslims and people who believe other faiths, as long as we're traditionally on the same wavelength. Of course, we welcome, first of all, the Christians, our brothers and sisters, but I would like to welcome Muslims and people who believe in the Vedic traditions, people who read Bhagavad Gita and read the mantras every few hours, We welcome anyone. Come visit Armenia. You're going to love it. We'll take you to the most ancient sites. You'll see Mount Ararat, Noah's Ark, if you wish, if you could climb the mountain. If you're not scared of the lightning bolts hitting the mountain every, I would say 200 lightning bolts every 30 seconds. If you want to risk your life, we'll take you along. We'll climb the mountain together, folks. You'll see Mount Ararat. You'll see the Noah's Ark, as it was discovered by Monsieur Navarro. Monsieur Navarro was a famous French mountain climber who actually witnessed. He's seen the construction of the inner workings of Noah's Ark. He's been inside. He's got the drawings, schematics, the blueprints, and everything. So we're gonna take the same route as this French mountain climber did. If you have the capacity to climb the mountain and be risking your life, we'll take you up there, folks. So if you just want to see ancient sites, we'll take you to the Ararat cave. That's a cave where the oldest wine-making operation was discovered. Archaeologists discovered that. It's over 6,000 years old, folks. So I'm kind of repeating myself. Everything is ancient in Armenia. It is. That's Ararat 1 cave. It's a documented fact. So it's 6,000 years old, folks. And they found an amphora. Amphora, it's a Greek word for clay jar where they stored wine, halfway buried in the ground. They didn't have air conditioning. This is how they used to cool the wine, keep it at constant temperature. Karas is the word in Armenian for amphora, which is just as old as Greek. By the way, we love Greeks because, folks, just to give you an idea, if you ever been to Greece, or if you like Greek food, it's very similar to Armenian food, and sort of, even the dances, the Kochari dance in the circle, it resembles the famous Greek dance. What is it, the Zorba dance? Almost identical, folks. So in baklava and paklava is the difference between the Greek and Armenian dessert. That's also thousands of years old. So there's all kinds of similarity. And so if you want to say to a Greek person, Evcharistopoli, that means thank you very much. It would be Evcharistopoli in Greek. In Armenian, it would be Shat Shnorakalutsun. That one, that's a bad example. I was going to use a combination of expressions that sounds almost identical. But anyway, you get the point, folks. There's a lot of similarities in the culture, in the cuisine, and in the lifestyle, in the how ancient both cultures are. The only difference is Armenia it's a hidden gem where Greeks that have contributed, it's a fact, Greeks have contributed to my God, you name it, they have contributed. I mean, it's well known. Armenia was kind of kept secret, if you will. Not secret, I mean, within its own realm it was known, but it didn't impact the world as much as Greece or the Greek culture did in terms of Mr. Mashtots did borrow a few points from the Greek alphabet when he created the Armenian alphabet in 405 Anno Domini. But the previous, which I'm going to put up on the screen, you'll see the Armenian alphabet that is 4,000 years, well, it's actually 3,000 years old. Then a 6,000-year-old alphabet, Armenian alphabet, was used by Armenians. It was not the Mr. Mashtots alphabet. It was something that was adopted by Armenians who lived in Greater Armenia. That's the kingdom of Urartu, Hayasa, Beola, this and that, this and this one. So many different kingdoms that kind of coexisted, if you will, folks. And the name Armina is the ancient name of Armenia, and hence the female name for many Armenian women have this name. So anyway, so you'll get to know the Armenian culture. You'll get to see Mount Ararat. This is where Noah landed with his gigantic ark or boat, where all the animals and his family was kept safe for over a year, folks. And then he went down Mount Ararat and settled in the village of Arax, where today is Arax, the famous eternal river of Arax. You'll find it in other sources. I mean, it's called in Arax in Armenian, in English, in Russian, but thousands of years ago, it used to be called Araxes River. It's the source of all life. This is where, folks, when you get settled, you have to find a source of water. That's number one. You can't survive without water, as you know. And so, Holy Noah, or Papa Noah as we call him, he saw this river, which is called Araxes River, Arax, and he got settled there in the village of Arax. And we'll also show you a 12,000-year-old site that was recently, it's a settlement, was recently excavated by accident, was found by accident. Everything is, I tell you, miracles happen all the time, folks. So Dr. Hakob Simonyan was sitting at his office in the Institute of Archaeology in Yerevan, Yerevan is capital of Armenia. He was sitting there twiddling his thumbs, meaning doing nothing. Then he got a phone call from an architect. Her name is Tatev. So Tatev calls him, and she says, that's a woman, so she says, Dr. Simonyan, we just have a discovery. We don't want to bother you, but why don't you just take a look? We think it's something significant, some kind of a fortress. He said, fortress? Where? She says, well, just on the outskirts of Yerevan. We're building a huge scientific center, and quite frankly, our construction workers are upset that we put everything on hold until you get here, because, money, construction, folks, you know how things are. So he immediately rushed over there. He took a look. He almost fainted, because everything points to a Neolithic, pre-pottery age, 12,000-year-old site, folks. This is the most ancient site in the world. That's right. Nothing predates this site in Armenia that was just recently discovered on the outskirts of Yerevan. So Dr. Simonyan became famous. This is the true story, and he didn't do it. You see, folks, this happens once in a lifetime. So this man attached his name to this discovery, really, because those construction workers, they cannot attach the name. They're not archaeologists. So he documented everything. They have these stones, folks, that looks like chairs, altars inside this fortress. So it looks like the Erebuni fortress, except a little bit smaller. What was left of it was small. It was probably bigger. It was circular, and it was like a circular settlement. I'm not sure if you could call it a city, but it was a settlement. The people lived there, folks, and they used these scrapers to scrape the skins, the hides of woolly mammoth. Woolly mammoth, those were the prehistoric animals. I'm going to pull them up on the screen so you can see them, folks. 12,000 years ago. This is before the flood, folks. So this is before the times of Noah, folks. So this predates Noah. So this is why I'm telling you, I'm the ambassador of Armenia to the Western world, and I want to invite you to come to Armenia. All these stories I'm telling you are real. Armenia is the original Holy Land by definition. If everything that we discover in Armenia predates Noah, I mean, what more do you want? We have Noah, we have Ararat, we have, Noah's Ark. If you want to risk your life, we'll take you to see it. You're going to see it, folks. And we have this 12,000-year-old site right outside the city limits. So you'll be conveniently driven there. You'll check it out. It's a fortress with some altars, some chairs, and a bunch of obsidian utensils. Obsidian is a type of material used in those days because they haven't learned how to work with metals yet. Not yet, folks. But they had very, very sharp spear tips. The tips of the spears were very, very sharp, and they looked like modern spear tips, except they were made out of obsidian because they haven't learned how to work with metals yet. 12,000 years old, folks, and they had woolly mammoth, and they were using those scrapers, so they were probably dressed in what we would call today down jackets, but back then they had woolly mammoth jackets, I guess, folks. So anyway, thanks to the discovery, Dr. Hakob Simonyan is a famous archaeologist now. Yes, and so it is incredible. It's incredible. You will see it. You're going to love it. And then we're going to invite you, if you want, to join our community. We're building a beautiful Noah's Ark eco-village, just like the Findhorn Foundation or Findhorn Village in Scotland. So which I've already kind of told you a little bit about. So anyway, folks, this is it. This is our goal. I'm the ambassador of Armenia in the Western world. I invite you all. We're going to greet you, meet you, give you a bear hug at the airport. We're going to pick you up at the airport with a huge, enormous, heartfelt bear hug. That's how we greet all of our guests. And we're going to show you around. You're going to love it. You would want to stay. If you want to stay, you'll have a place to stay. It's a Christian community where we have dedicated, devout Christians. And this invitation, by the way, goes out to 2.6 billion Christians around the world and 2.1 billion Muslims around the world, and everybody else who wants to grow spiritually and learn how to walk on water, how to heal the sick, how to cast out demons, and raise the dead, just like Jesus said. I'm going to bring up on the screen the passage so you will see it. It's not just some joke, folks. If Jesus said, I'm going to my Father, I'm going to send you a comforter, and you should be able to do the same things, even greater things that I've done, folks. And if you can't do any of them, what's the point of calling yourself a Christian? We're going to fix that, folks. If you can't do any of those things, I already recorded a couple of videos, training videos, to share with you this methodology, how it's done, folks, so you won't feel kind of out of touch with the Bible. So anyway, this is my story, folks. This is our invitation. We want to welcome you to our wonderful, wonderful community in Armenia. We're going to teach you a few Armenian words. You will be not fluent, but at least you'll know a few words. Shnorakalutsun is thank you. Evharisto is in Greek. Spasiba or Благодарю in Russian. And these are the languages spoken most, and French, of course, is spoken a little bit. There are a lot of Armenians who speak French. So, merci beaucoup would be in French, and if you speak Arabic, we're going to teach you that too. Shukran would be in Arabic. Shukriya would be in Urdu. By the way, there are quite a few Indians from the country of India in Armenia. Lately, they just, there are 1.5 billion Indians. Just a few of them tell each other, hey, Armenia's got a great climate, great people, friendly people. All of them, not all of them, but I mean just a small group of Indians move. That's a significant community. So yes, Armenia has a nice Indian community. So How much does it cost, folks, to come and visit Armenia? This is the best question I saved for last. So if you want to splurge, if you have some cash to burn, we'll put you at a villa. Now, if you demand a villa, we'll find you a villa. So if you want to spend $20,000 for a week, we'll put you at a luxury villa. If you want to spend less, you will spend significantly less. You'll stay within your budget. If you want to be on a budget, we'll put you in a place will meet your budget, basically. It's no big deal, folks. Don't worry about the money. It's about the spiritual reconnection to your destiny. So you will realize your destiny, you'll live a fulfilled life. You'll reconnect and better understand the words of Jesus. And you'll be able to at least try, folks. You should try to learn how to walk on water, heal the sick, cast out demons, raise people from the dead. And that's what we'll be practicing, as we'll be showing you around beautiful, beautiful Christian churches in Armenia. So on this note, I want to invite you to go to our website that you see on the screen. Call us if you have a way of dialing a telephone number internationally. You could call us, text us, let us know when you would like to come to Armenia. We'll book a custom itinerary for you. If you have a large family, we can accommodate your entire family. So don't hesitate. We love you very much with agape love. As I mentioned, agape is a biblical word of Greek origin, which means the highest form of divine love. And we want to share it with you. We want to elevate you to this level. Armenia has been hidden until the end times. Right now is the time of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the end times, according to some Vedic traditions. So these are the end times, and that's why I was called to record this message by the Spirit of God, because it's God wants all the Christians to learn about Armenia, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just an instrument in the hands of God. In God's hands, I'm just an instrument. I'm recording what He tells me to share with you, and I will share my enthusiasm. Oh, by the way, folks, very, very important, most beautiful, beautiful Armenian word. Are you ready for the Bible? How would you say the Bible in Armenian? Do you think it's Biblios, Biblia, Biblios? Folks, no. In Armenian, it's the most beautiful word. So the word for God is Astvats. And Astvats Ashunch would be the Bible. That's right. It literally means God breathed, or the breath of God, or a combination of the two. But the point is, folks, in Armenian, it's such an ancient language. Like I mentioned, 7,200 years old. That's the earliest inscriptions that kind of resemble really symbols. They're not really even letters, but at that point, I'm going to pull them up on the screen so you will see them. But anyway, folks, the point is this. Astvats Ashunch is the Bible. And every word in Armenian that we're going to, again, share with you, you're going to know a few key words, very beautiful words in Armenian. They're very unique. They're very complex. They form very unique structures. And Armenian is a language in its own category that's been mingled around with the Indo-European, this and that, but then they changed their mind. Anyway, folks, Astvats Ashunch is the Bible. Shnorakalutsun would be thank you. Hajrohutsun would be we wish you all the best, good luck, and we'll be looking forward to showing you around. Just give us a call. You won't regret it. You'll probably want to stay in Armenia, and we'll help you with that, especially if you're a Christian who wants to stay in a community, in a Christian community, in state-of-the-art homes, solar paneled. We'll be basically, what we're doing is we'll be building our own community based on the Finhorn model from Scotland. In this community, we have state-of-the-art housing, off the grid, solar panels, wind turbines, and prayer, supplication, miracle work, and closeness to God. We'll be on the frequency of God 24/7, folks. This is the best time of our lives to be able to share this message like this remotely, to be able to enjoy this kind of closeness with the Bible, with each other, with God. And this is it. This is where my story ends. I want to thank you for watching this unique video that I was called to record impromptu. I mean, I didn't have any equipment on me. I just filmed it on my phone out of nowhere. I was prompted by the Spirit of God to record it. Now you've heard it. The invitation is out there. And know this, if you're hearing this, this is not by accident, by chance. It's between you and God. God wanted you to hear it, and you can't not get away from this message anymore. I mean, meaning like this is not from me, this is an invitation from God. So all you have to do is call us. We'll greet you at the airport in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, show you around, and we'll help you start a brand new life if that's what's going on, especially if you lost a family member, if you lost half of your family, if you lost your entire family, if you're divorced, if you're grieving, if you lost your job, if you this and that, well, we're going to help you sort it out. So reach out to us. We're a close-knit Christian community in the first Christian nation of Armenia. That's right, Armenia was the first nation to adopt Christianity as a state religion. And you'll be just fine, folks. You'll find your new family in Armenia with us. So God bless you. My name's Sam. Call me anytime. Email us. Get a hold of us. God bless you. And I want to just say a prayer. May God richly bless you. May He keep you safe. May He send His angels to guard you, protect you, you and your family members. And may we meet one day very soon in Armenia. Take care. We'll see you soon. God bless.